When you think of your favorite equipment in an Elder Scrolls game, you may think of a powerful weapon or expensive armor that you always make a point of finding as soon as possible. Something overpowered that changes your experience for the rest of the game and makes that one tomb or cave that seemed too deadly to chance not that long ago feel like something you can breeze through. But an item's value or damage output aren't the only ways they can be game-changing. Some of Morrowind's most helpful items get overlooked because they aren't the flashiest or most expensive. Some are simply missed because the game doesn't give you any information about them, or provides a very limited window of opportunity to find them. They're there for the lucky fetcher that happens to look in the right place at the right time, or the grizzled veteran who already knew where to look. Greetings, Outlander, Gitshiver here, and today I'm going to tell you about some of those very items and show you exactly how you can add them to your collection. All of these tools are things that I pick up on practically any character, and they've been an amazing quality of life improvement for me every time. The pieces we're going to be discussing today often go overlooked. I've personally never seen anyone else cover them. It could be because a few of them aren't guaranteed to appear at all, and the others are placed subtly in only one location. But worry not, my friends. I've gone deep in the research, scouring the depths of the creation kit to track down the absolute easiest ways to ensure that you can have these game-changing items for yourself. So sit back and relax as I show you 5 of Morrowind's most helpful items. For our first stop today, we need to head to Gnar Mach on the western coast of Morrowind. We'll be heading to a cave that has made a few appearances on our channel already. The Cave of Chernobal is located southwest of Gnar Mach, along the coast of the Inner Sea. Inside this cave, we'll find numerous bandits level between 10 and 16, skilled in a variety of ways to kill you. Perhaps none are more capable than the battle mage at the southern end of the cave, Galatas Serethi. Galatas not only tries to kill you with spells, but he's fond of summoning bone walkers as well. My best advice is to try and take one enemy at a time in here and fall back often, using the cave's winding layout and rock faces to block incoming magic and projectiles where possible. Once Gallus has been defeated, we can raid his corpse for the item we came for, an Amulet of Mark. I suppose I should say the Amulet of Mark, since it's the only guaranteed instance of this amulet appearing in-game. More on that later. This neat little necklace does exactly what its name implies, casting the spell Mark on your location, providing an anchor point to recall to at will if you know the spell Recall, or if you happen to find an amulet with that enchantment as well, which leads us nicely to our next target. In the Imperial mining town of Caldera, northeast of Valmora, we can find many different shops with more than a few significant items available to purchase. Few are as nice as the general goods store run by Varric Germain. Among Varric's many treasures, you'll find an Amulet of Recall. Much like the Amulet of Mark, this is the only instanced copy available in the game. It will cost you around 200 gold, depending on your disposition and mercantile skill, but it's an amazing deal either way. With our new jewelry, we'll be able to return to a home base quickly, even if over-encumbered, or easily exit a long dungeon without having to backtrack through the whole thing. Next, we'll be heading out east to the town of Moligmar along Azura's coast. From this ziggurat city, we can set out to the east, across the bay and over the nearby hills. Beyond, we'll see a peninsula with an ancestral tomb and a Daedric ruin. If we keep moving east past this area, we'll see that there's a large chunk of land on the other side, and up in the hills, there'll be a traditional Velothi tower. This is the Tower of Audirniran, and it's currently the site of an ongoing conflict between House Telvanni and House Lalu. Thankfully, we don't need to involve ourselves with that whole mess today. We just need to run in for a single pickup and we're out the door again. Upon entering the tower, we'll find ourselves in an empty room. Follow the hallway across from you, taking the left branch when it splits. Down the ramp is a door that's trapped and locked at level 30, beyond which you'll encounter a few leveled undead. You may only see 2 at first, but there are a couple more who patrol the area, so stay sharp and make your way down the right hallway ahead. It will curve around to the right, and just before you reach the next door, you'll see the corpse of Tom Cephalus. This dead Dunmer carries a very special dagger, the Steel Blade of Heaven. This little beauty has a Levitate enchantment for 50 points over 30 seconds, and much like our last finds, this is the only instanced copy in the game, and one of the very few items that carries a levitation enchantment in general. From personal experience, I can say that if you have a low enchanting skill level, it will take forever to recharge the huge magic pool on this little dagger. But I never leave home without it, as it's faster than most levitation potions and is perfect for ceiling exploration, or getting out of a pit you overestimated or blindly fell into. Before we continue, some quick notes. The last 2 items today have no instance copies, meaning they can only be found through random chance. But the chance isn't as random as you might think. They, along with the other items we've located today, can be found in a few of the game's leveled list. More on that in a bit. They'll also require your character to be between levels 4 and level 6 to show up. Level 7 and higher will push you into the higher leveled list, and you'll only receive items from the matching tier. See, many containers, like most chests, certain urns, and dead bodies, can have these leveled lists, providing an item of matching level tier, like 1 to 3, 4 to 6, 7 to 13, and so on, instead of having the same static item every time at every level. Leveled containers will never give an item from a higher level than your character is currently at, and many of the lists, like the one we're looking at today, will only drop items from the highest tier you qualify for. Now that the explainer's out of the way, I can tell you about the items we're going to be looking for. They're 2 of my favorite amulets, the Amulet of Divine Intervention and the Amulet of Almsevi Intervention. These 2 items work the same way as their scroll and spell counterparts, instantly teleporting you to an Imperial or Tribunal shrine respectively. But you'll never need to worry about buying more or saving enough magicka to cast them, not to mention having the skill to do so in the first place. There is another thing to keep in mind here. There are only 8 chests and 4 corpses that use the list we need to pull from, and there are 22 potential amulets that could appear at this tier level, which leads me to recommend something that may be a bit controversial. Cheese it. Now, I don't recommend this very often, but this is a rare exception. If you're not okay with that, then that's okay too. You're free to play however you like, and don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Before we can play the necklace lottery, I need to tell you where you can find these containers. As I said, I went digging through the Morrowind creation kit and tracked down all 8 of the containers named Rusted Chest, and the 4 corpses as well. I'll be showing you their locations on screen as they appear in the creation kit. I checked out the various locations for the easiest places to try out, since many of the options are at the end of difficult dungeons with high-level enemies that you really don't want to be dealing with at this level. Thankfully, I found 2 spots that just about anyone can use with very little effort. The first is in Ebonheart, west of Vivec City. There are 2 boats in the port, the one we used for fast travel and the other one which is used later on in the main quest. It's this second boat that we're interested in today. Towards the back of the ship will be the rusted chest that we came here for. This one's not owned by anyone, nor is it locked, so there's no need to be sneaky about looting it. Before you do that, be sure to save your game. The chest's contents are randomized every time you load your game, as long as you've never opened the container. Once you've opened it, you're stuck with whatever it gives you. Kind of a you break it, you bought it situation. I got extremely lucky and pulled an Almsevi Intervention amulet on the first draw, so I didn't have to re-roll the leveled list here. I can promise that I won't get that lucky a second time, so let's move over to our next target and I'll demonstrate the re-roll technique for the other amulet. For that, we'll be heading to Sadrith Mora. I recommend traveling by boat, since we'll arrive at exactly the right spot for our next attempt. The boat that brings you to Sadrith Mora is called Elfscaring. As a side note, a skerry is a Scottish term for a reef or rocky island, much like the one Sadrith Mora sits on. Anyway, Elfscaring is a large ship by Morrowind standards, and its rusted chest can be found in its cabin at the back of the top deck. This one will require a bit more finesse than the last location, as the door is locked at level 30, and it's under the watchful eyes of Gal Zarethi, the ship's master. This can be easy enough to get around by casting the Amulet of Shadows or other stealth magics before picking the lock. We have guides on sneaking and lockpicking methods as well if needed. Once you're inside the cabin, we're looking for the rusted chest, at the back of the cabin behind a crate. This chest is locked at level 60, so bring some on DC scrolls if you're not equipped to pick the lock through more conventional means. Just like our last chest, you'll want to be sure to save your game before actually opening the chest. I prefer to unlock it first, in case it ends up taking a while to roll the item we actually came here for, as it can be frustrating to have to keep doing an extra step every time we load. Once you've unlocked the chest and saved your game, just open the chest and check for the amulet among the other treasures. It will generally be at the top, but certain ones may be farther down the list. If it isn't the one you need, in my case, Divine Intervention, just reload the game and try again. You can do this as many times as you need to in order to find it, with no ill effects on your game or save file. Once you have it, be sure to save your game again in case something horrible happens to you. As a side note, there are some other decent amulets you can get this way, but in my experience, these two are the most useful, so I recommend getting them first and then trying other containers with this leveled list if you want the other amulets. If for whatever reason you end up needing an alternative source for Mark and Recall amulets, both are available in this leveled list at level 15 and beyond. And at that level, many of the locations will be much more accessible, so check them out to see what other cool leveled gear you can get a hold of. And that's going to do it for today's guide to some of Morrowind's most useful items. I hope they prove as helpful to you as they have to me. If so, a like or subscription is always appreciated. And if you have any other super helpful items that you always get in your playthroughs, let me know in the comments below. As always, I want to say thank you to our YouTube channel members and Twitch subscribers for their ongoing support, despite the various hurdles life has thrown lately. If you want to keep up with everything we have going on, join our Discord community for updates, announcements, and more, or follow us on Twitch for more live streams every week. Until next time, I've been Get Shivered. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Later!